That's what you have to do if you want to become financially independent. That's called planting seeds. Why don't you get a job and work for 50 years, then retire? Are you financially free? No, you retire broke. And he gives it, the way he explains it, it will sell you on this. Just like the book.
He's built multi-million-dollar companies. His explosive books on health and wealth have sold over 60 million copies. Now, The Kevin Trudeau Show, they don't want you to know.
So what are the 3 books that you should read if you want to become successful? Well, it's hard to pin down 3, but I'm going to give you 3. The first book, in my opinion, is a book called, and it's actually on this list, which was a big surprise, but I guarantee you the person who wrote this didn't read it. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. The Richest Man in Babylon is a short little book that you've never heard of, and it is a myth. And you know, if you've ever listened to me before, I hate parables and myths like The Alchemist or The Celestine Prophecy. They're nice books to read, but they're fantasy. And I hate books that are fantasy because they're not real, it's not true, and it gives you a false sense of what you should do, because if it was true, they could find a real life example of somebody applying this. The Richest Man in Babylon is one of those rare books that I do like The Alchemist. The Richest Man in Babylon tells a mythical story in ancient Babylon about a man who was poor and became the richest man in Babylon. And he used one technique, one simple technique to become rich. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because you've got to read the book. But it is a spectacular book. It's a simple book. And I'm going to give you, by the way, just two simple things to do today. I'm going to give them to you. That if you do them, you will become financially free and financially independent. It is not hard. Actually, I'm going to give you 3. 3 things that all rich people do. So the first book is The Richest Man in Babylon. The next book I would encourage you to read is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I know Robert. I don't know him well. I remember I was in Australia, in Sydney. I was on my business partner's yacht. He had the largest yacht in Sydney Harbor, had a helicopter on it. And we were 50-50 partners in a business venture there that did around $300 million in business in 2 years. We both made a lot of money. This was around 2000, 2001. And I was in his yacht. He was the second richest guy in Australia. The first richest guy was Kerry Packer, who I also knew. We weren't business partners, but we did fly to Vegas together to play Baccarat, which that's another story I'll tell you. So I was on this yacht, and I was in the hot tub with Andrew Melcher, who's in the UK. He has a new company that he started, very successful guy. He was the fellow that came to me, and I hired him. He became president of the Golf Channel and launched the Golf Channel and Shop America in the UK and UTV and 3 TV networks with me. And then he ventured off on his own, started his own company, did hundreds of millions of dollars in business in that, and now has a brand new company started. He's a very successful guy. Great friend, good guy. So Renee Rifkin's it's his yacht, Renee Rifkin. So we're in the hot tub. He's smoking a cigar. I'm smoking a cigar. And Andrew's there inhaling Renee and my smoke from our cigars. He didn't have to smoke a cigar. He could just inhale the smoke. So we're on the top of the yacht in the hot tub. And Renee's got his cell phone there. This is when cell phones were first coming out. I didn't even have one. Renee gave me one. He says, "No, I need you to have a cell phone." So I gave my number out to everybody and told my secretaries, if anybody calls me at the office, you can have them call, depending on who he is. So I'm in the hot tub and my cell phone rings. And who the hell's calling me? I'm in Australia. So I pick up the phone and it's Robert Kiyosaki. And I said, "Man, how you doing?" So we start talking and I said, "I'm in Australia right now." And he says, "Australia? Where?" And I said, "I'm in Sydney." He says, "There's a guy, an investor down there that I've always wanted to meet and talk to. Guy named Renee Rifkin. I don't know if you ever heard of him before." And I says, "Heard of him? Well, I'm on his yacht right now in the hot tub with him. He's right next to me here. Hold on. So I hand the phone to Renee to go, hello. And then Robert Kiyosaki starts talking to Renee. So Robert Kiyosaki's book is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the reason I like the book is it gives you, the first book I mentioned, The Richest Man in Babylon, tells you one simple secret, which I'm going to tell you what it is at the end of the show here, very briefly. And Robert Kiyosaki tells you some basic fundamentals about when you're first starting off, you don't buy things that cost money and go down in value. You spend your extra money and you buy things that go up in value and don't cost you any money. That's what you have to do if you want to become financially independent. That's called planting seeds. If you want to get a harvest in the fall, come the spring, you have to plant seed into the soil. If you don't plant any seed in the spring, when the fall comes, you're not going to have any crops. Does that make sense? If you go up to a wood-burning stove, you can't get any heat out of that unless you put wood in first. Does that make sense? If you go to your bank and say, how much interest have I earned? And the bank says, interest? You don't have any money in this bank. You have to put money in the bank first before the bank can pay you interest. That's how it works in life. If you want to become financially free and independent 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, oh, that's a long time. I thought I was going to get rich tomorrow. Kevin, you're suggesting that I'm going to have to wait 2 or 5 years for financial freedom? Tell you what, why don't you get a job and work for 50 years, then retire? Are you financially free? No, you retire broke. But Kevin, if I do what you say, it'll take 5 years. Okay, and if you don't do what I say, what's going to happen? But Kevin, do you know how old I'll be in 5 years? Well, if you don't do this, how old are you going to be in 5 years? The same. Smarten up. Stop whining, bitching, and complaining. Be a man. Be a woman. Step up. Come on. Stand up. Show some backbone. Or just stay a loser. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life. So Robert Kiyosaki says, spend money. And he doesn't say the word spend. It's take your money, and instead of spending it, you have to put it into assets that go up in value and pay you money. And he gives, and the way he explains it, it will sell you on this. Just like the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, will sell you on that technique as well. They both work together, 100%. 100%, 100%, 100%. Those give you the basic how-to when it comes to making money if you want to become wealthy. But remember, there's a scale. On one side is the technique or the methods, and the other side is the thinking or the attitude. So you need to have the right mentality. You have to be vibrating the right way if you want to make the methods actually work. So I am going to recommend Your Wish is Your Command as the third book. Oh, wait a minute. The book isn't out yet. So you're going to have to listen to the audios. So go to yourwishisyourcommand.com and get the audios. Yourwishisyourcommand.com, get the audios. Next year, the book will be out because that's going to explain to you the correct mindset. Okay. I'll give you a bonus book since Your Wish is Your Command is not a book yet. It's really an audio series now. The bonus book is simply Think and Grow Rich. It will explain a simple method. It's a little bit difficult to read, but the concepts in there are the absolute 100% fundamentals for making wealth. Bruce Lee used that book, and virtually dozens of the most successful celebrities back in the 60s and 70s said that they read that book and it was the catalyst. It was the reason for their success. because they applied the principles. Bruce Lee actually wrote out exactly as Napoleon Hill suggested in the book Think and Grow Rich, how to put together his goal by saying, this is what I want and this is what I'm willing to give in order to get. And he wrote it in present time. It's just awesome to see it. It really works. Absolutely works. So those are the 3 books that I would recommend that you read if you want to make wealth. I have a recommended reading list of other books such as The Magic of Believing, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Ask and It Is Given, The Magic of Thinking Big, The Science of Getting Rich. There's a lot of good books. How to have power and confidence, and how to have confidence and power in dealing with people by Les Giblin, because people skills are critical to making money. There's a lot of good books, and they're on my recommended reading list. Most of them are what I would call classics because they're a little older. And the reason is, even though I read lots of modern day books, they're all crap because they're written by people who aren't studying wealthy people. All they're doing is studying other people's books. Think about that. When Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, he didn't read books that other people wrote about success. He studied the richest people on the planet for years. Henry Ford, Firestone, J.P. Morgan, Thomas Edison. He talked to and lived with the wealthiest people and interviewed them, and that's where he came up with the method in Think and Grow Rich. It wasn't his method. It's the method used by the richest people on the planet at the time. Does that make sense? But when you read a book today on success, all the author did was he read a bunch of other books on success and just regurgitated it and put it in the book. And he wrote the book before he ever made a nickel. And he made his money selling the book. When I put together Your Wish Is Your Command, I had already done over $2 billion in real business, in real companies all around the world, before I ever gave a lecture or wrote anything on how to become successful or how to manifest goals, dreams, and desires. That's a huge difference. Tony Robbins can't say that. Joe Vitale can't say that. Bob Proctor can't say that. Joe Dispenza can't say that. None of these, and they're all great guys. And they all have good work, by the way. But none of them can just say what I just said. None of them could say, I made $1 billion before I ever gave a speech on motivation or inspiration or how to manifest goals or how to make money. Nobody could ever say that except me. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm just, again, pointing out, you listen to people who have what you want, has been where you are. And don't listen to people who made all their money selling books and tapes and seminars on how to make money when they hadn't made any. And if you're listening to somebody who makes all of his money in the personal development or self-help or that type of field, look, they may know some stuff, but they really know about it. They don't know it. Because if it really worked, they would have went out and became successful first. Hi, I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about to improve the quality of your life. Broadcasting every Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week now. Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Chicago time. Make sure you tune in and subscribe to the channel and share these shows with everyone you know.